Tony Awanage, Nyawa. I just said in Mohawk, where I'm from, in Ganawage, that our creator has placed everything here on the earth, and it's still doing its responsibilities, and for that we give thanks. And so it's in that kind of vein, this attitude of feeling gratitude and thankful. All the elements in creation are doing its responsibilities, and I draw special attention to the most valuable resource we have is our human beings and working together. So I'll leave my words there. Nyawa, miigwech. Merci.
Thank you very much, Elder, for starting us in a good way. Maintenant, je cède la parole à Madame Philippe. You're on mute.
Okay, that's not a very good way to start. Take two. Sego, bonjour, and hello. Before I begin, I would like to say Nyanagoa to Tom for your opening prayer. It's always reassuring to know that our gatherings will have a positive impact when it begins with a clear mind and good words. My name is Ellen Filippelli. I am Ganyageha Wolf Clan from the Kanesatake Mohawk Territory. As the Executive Director for the First Peoples Justice Center of Tiohtià:ke, Montreal, it is an honor and a privilege to be asked to join the news conference this afternoon as the announcement is released concerning additional funding provided through our partners, Justice Quebec and Justice Canada. The funding will allow the Justice Center to expand legal services and offer GLADU reports that will facilitate Indigenous men and women in their post-trial community reintegration process. We are excited to make room as we increase our already well-skilled justice team and prepare them to greet a GLADU aftercare coordinator to the Justice Center. GLADU reporting and aftercare are key services as this is detrimental and finally is being recognized as a vital support service for our community members. The GLADU report provides an insight to the driving force of the history of an Indigenous offender, which could bring forth a clear understanding to address the whys. Why is there an over-representation of our people in the justice system, that many crimes are being committed and the repeat offenders? Following this process of a GLADU report, we're aware how this may trigger an individual's memories of past traumas and pain. Therefore, an aftercare coordinator is essential. This service provides the opportunity to process and come to terms with all the wrong that was inflicted on them, with the ultimate goal to breaking the cycle of trauma and harm. The opportunity to expand and offer services in the GLADU reporting and aftercare programming falls directly in the vision and mission of the First Peoples Justice Center of Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. It is our vision to build a strong Indigenous community that has access to an Indigenous community-led justice center, a safe space to speak one's truth that supports, informs, and empowers Indigenous people as they navigate through the legal system. Once again, I wish to thank all our partners from the departments, Nyanagoa to Honorable David Lametti and Honorable Mark Miller. And in closing, this is a productive move towards the initiative of establishing a solid Indigenous model of justice for First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. Nyanagoa, merci. Thank you.
Merci, Madame Philippelli. Maintenant, je cède la parole au ministre Miller.
Kwe Sego, bonjour, hello. Ezochi wagatsunu chiskat neka iroesne onkwe honwe ranu wanchak ke negarumwe. Pour ma part, je vous joins depuis Ottawa, situé évidemment sur le territoire traditionnel du peuple algonquin. Merci à Tom Deerhouse pour cette belle présentation. Thank you, Tom Deerhouse, Elder Tom Deerhouse, for getting this off in a good way. Tout un plaisir de me joindre aujourd'hui avec l'honorable David Lametti, ministre de la Justice et procureur général du Canada, à l'occasion de l'annonce d'aujourd'hui. And great greetings as well to Ellen Filippelli, who's been doing amazing work in this, often really, really stretched resources. So today I'm very, very happy for this announcement that Minister Lametti will shortly put forward to folks. We're coming together here on Indigenous History Month, a time when we recognize the history and heritage of and resilience and diversity of First Nations, Inuit and Métis on these lands. It's also a time as well to recommit ourselves as a government to advancing reconciliation, including the essential component of justice, ensuring a better and healthier future for everyone. Much of this work is transformative in nature in moving our relationship forward with Indigenous peoples, in particular its connection to the justice system that has underserved them. We're doing so in a collaborative fashion, in a way that is respectful of that relationship, making sure that these programs are Indigenous-led and culturally appropriate, to provide community members in particular with community-based justice systems and important culturally appropriate alternatives. Malheureusement, les peuples autochtones demeurent surreprésentés au sein de notre système de justice et les taux d'incarcération ne cessent d'augmenter. Les femmes autochtones représentent désormais la moitié de la population des femmes incarcérées dans les établissements fédéraux. Il faut de toute urgence réaliser un changement réel et un changement positif. Il s'agit d'un enjeu qui exige le recours à une approche qui intègre des services de justice adaptés aux collectivités autochtones et des méthodes de guérison traditionnelles pour soutenir les délinquants, les victimes et restaurer la santé communautaire. The First Peoples Justice Center of Montreal is a vital partner in these efforts. It provides holistic, community-based justice services to Indigenous peoples in Montreal. This is the critical part of the work needed to address the overrepresentation of Indigenous peoples in the criminal justice system. Again, I want to thank Ellen Filippelli and everyone for this, working in this incredible organization that I've heard from and had a chance to meet. We're committed to supporting your tireless work to create a healthier and safer community. And on that note, I'll turn things over to Minister David Lametti to provide more details on today's funding announcement. Merci, thank you.
Kwekwe, Sego, bonjour, hello. Je tiens à mentionner que moi, je m'adresse à vous de mon bureau à Montréal sur le territoire traditionnel de Haudenosaunee, ainsi qu'un lieu de rencontre et échange pour plusieurs autres nations autochtones, dont les Anishinaabe, les Wendat, les Cris et les Métis. Elder Tom Deerhouse, Neowan, for getting us started in a good way. And thanks to my colleague, Mark Miller, for that introduction. I know, Mark, this is important to you as the Member of Parliament for Ville-Marie, le Sud-Ouest, Île-des-Sœurs, where the center is located. My thanks as well to Ellen Filippelli for your tremendous leadership of the First Peoples Justice Center of Montreal. This organization is instrumental in supporting Indigenous peoples in Montreal who come into contact with the law. The center focuses on strengthening traditional approaches to justice and peacemaking, key elements in transforming how First Nations, Inuit, and Métis interact with the justice system. And indeed, that's call to action 50 of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call to actions of helping and supporting Indigenous normative systems to reflourish and take up the space that they should never have had to relinquish. So this in turn is a central part of our reconciliation journey. Les peuples autochtones doivent trop souvent faire face à du racisme systémique et de la discrimination à toutes les étapes du système de justice du Canada. Ils y sont tragiquement surreprésentés en tant que victimes, survivants, accusés et condamnés. Et ces chiffres honteux continuent d'augmenter. Notre gouvernement est déterminé à non seulement démanteler un système qui a permis ces pratiques, mais aussi à réparer les injustices commises en son nom. One way is through criminal justice reform. In December 2021, I tabled Bill C-5. It proposes to restore judicial discretion by eliminating certain mandatory minimum penalties and removing restrictions on the availability of conditional sentences. The bill will hopefully soon begin third reading debate and be voted on in the House of Commons, and I look forward to its passage. We're also working to increase the application of GLADU principles in the criminal justice system. These principles ensure that judges take into account an Indigenous person's unique background and the circumstances of that person's life when deciding on a sentence. And that's linked to Bill C-5. If a judge is forced to apply a minimum mandatory penalty or doesn't have the option of a conditional sentence order, which might very well be having a person serve the sentence under the care of an Indigenous Justice Center based on that person's own Indigenous traditions and spirituality, then the GLADU system can't be as effective as it ought to be. So with this, we're also helping to expand the use of GLADU reports and community-based, Indigenous-led, post-sentence GLADU aftercare. And we're supporting organizations as we are today that offer vital justice services and a better pathway forward for First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. So that brings me to today's announcement. I'm pleased to announce that our government is providing $492,000 in funding to the First Peoples Justice Centre of Montreal to support their important work. Of this, the centre will direct $215,000 over 3 years to support the provision of GLADU aftercare services to assist Indigenous clients in accessing culturally appropriate, community-based programs and healing plans. These services cover a wide scope of supports, including traditional healing sessions with elders, mental health and addiction care, and support for reintegration into the community. These are all vital components of a holistic restorative justice pathway. Other funds will support the centre's programming and help it meet the increased demand for community-based justice services in Montreal. Its Indigenous Model of Justice program offers a number of services and supports to Indigenous people at various stages of the justice and correctional systems. This includes culturally appropriate services that emphasize healing and reintegration into the community. Equally important, the program aims to promote respect and greater understanding of Indigenous justice models amongst justice actors, including police, lawyers, judges, probation and reintegration officers, and community organizations. Une partie de ces fonds versés par l'entremise du programme de justice autochtone du ministère de la Justice Canada s'inscrit dans le cadre d'investissements plus importants que notre gouvernement a annoncé dans l'énoncé économique de l'automne 2020 et le budget 2021. En effet, nous allons investir 49,3 millions de dollars pour mettre en œuvre les principes GLADU dans le système de justice criminelle. Et nous allons également soutenir les initiatives dirigées par les Autochtones qui contribuent à réduire leur surreprésentation dans le système de justice. Nos efforts s'inscrivent dans notre volonté d'une véritable réconciliation. Il s'agit aussi d'une réponse aux appels à l'action de la Commission de vérité et réconciliation et aux appels à la justice de l'enquête nationale sur les femmes et filles autochtones disparues et assassinées. Ces investissements appuient également nos objectifs dans le cadre de la voie fédérale concernant les femmes, les filles et les personnes de LGBTQIA+ autochtones disparues et assassinées. Mettre en place un système judiciaire plus inclusif et plus équitable. We know that change is possible if we move forward in trust, in partnership, and in respect. Yesterday, we took another significant step together towards a better future and healing related to former Indian residential schools. With Minister Miller, I was pleased to announce the appointment of Kimberly Murray as special interlocutor for missing children and unmarked graves and burial sites associated with Indian residential schools. Kimberly, who is a Mohawk person and lawyer originally from Kanesatake, will guide us in our next steps, identifying measures and recommending a new federal legal framework to ensure the respect and culturally appropriate treatment of unmarked graves and burial sites of children at former residential schools. She will also help to open doors, to facilitate, to support families and communities, and we're absolutely pleased that she's agreed to take on this role. This appointment's a critical step in advancing respectful commemoration, healing, and justice for Indigenous peoples in Canada. L'annonce d'aujourd'hui marque un autre pas vers la réconciliation. Merci encore au Centre des Premiers Peuples de Montréal. Merci pour vos efforts indéfatigables et votre précieuse contribution à votre communauté. C'est grâce à vous et à votre travail que nous pouvons imaginer un meilleur avenir, un avenir plus juste. Miigwech, Niawan, merci, thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Ministre Lametti. Nous allons maintenant amorcer la période de questions puis réponses. Please use the raise hand function if you would like to ask a question. If you're joining us by phone, please press *6. S'il te plaît, utilisez la fonction de lever la main si vous voulez poser une question. Et si vous nous rejoignez par téléphone, pesez *6. So, reminder, if you have a question, to please use the raised hand function or press *6 for phone. S'il te plaît, si vous avez une question, utilisez la fonction lever la main ou *6 pour le téléphone. Ça paraît pas qu'on a des questions. Au moment, je vais juste donner 5 autres secondes. Dernière fois, last chance. Oh, there we go. Fraser, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Sorry, I was trying to avoid asking a question here because I've asked so many recently, but here I am again. But I guess, Mr. Lametti, if you could just maybe, sum up how you or your department feels that this funding will help the gross overrepresentation, I guess, of Indigenous women in our justice system.
Well, Fraser, thank you for that question, and believe me, we were all waiting for you to ask. So this is, we're glad you stepped up. It's part of the piece. I mean, there isn't one single thing. We need to, Bill C5 is part of it, making sure that there's more flexibility in sentencing. But we also need to work. Let me put it this way: if you're an Indigenous person, you're more likely to be stopped by the police. If you get stopped by the police, you're more likely to be brought to the police station. If you're brought to the police station, again, it's statistically true. If you're an Indigenous person, you're more likely to be charged. If you're an Indigenous person, you're more likely to be charged with an offense that carries a minimum mandatory penalty, and you're more likely to be found guilty. Like, this is all, and so there are so many things we have to do. GLADU care is part of it. So the GLADU reports are part of it, making sure there's more flexibility in sentencing. But also the aftercare is important because it helps us prevent recidivism. By supporting people, by allowing people to be supported in their own community according to their own traditions and beliefs and spirituality, with the kinds of supports, tailored supports led by Indigenous people, for Indigenous people, will keep people out of the from going back into the criminal justice system. It's part of the piece. It's not the only piece. It's an important piece, but we have to strip away the layers of colonialism that are in the criminal justice system. We need to, be able to, look at it through non-Western lenses and see non-colonial lenses and see where the discrimination exists, where the structures exist. And it's a big task, but you've got it every day. You just got to keep attacking it in different ways. So it's a piece. It's an important piece. It's not the only piece.
I would like to add something to that. The present.
Sorry to interrupt you, Ellen. Your camera's off. If you like to turn it on.
It says it's on. Now it says it's off.
And maybe try again. There we go. Now we see you. Sorry, go ahead.
Presently, the First Peoples Justice Center of Tiohtià:ke Montreal has a transition and reintegration program. And right now we only had one female inmate that we were able to reach. Now, was it because of COVID? It was very difficult to get into the prison system. Quebec was more resistant to us getting our workers there than CSC, Correctional Service Canada. They were very helpful, but the men's prisons, and we were able to help them with their Section 84, with their, they had to do GLADU reports, and now with an actual writer and an aftercare worker, we're going to be able to get into more places than we were ever be able to before. With this extra funding, we're going to be able to reach out to more people, and this will help our women. That is a huge area where we're going to focus on a lot more this year.
Tom, you're on mute.
Yeah.
How about now? Yeah, just wanted to add on, the way I see it, this additional funding is going to enhance First Peoples Justice, the existing programs, and create new programs that's going to help Indigenous women and the Indigenous community of Montreal as in general. And maybe some people may not know, but I took part in some of the early strategic planning of the center. So I got an idea of the direction they have, and they're talking about systemic change, approaching the lawyers, approaching the judges to make advocate for the traditional approaches and the cultural, and incorporating all of that into the system, which should make a difference in the numbers, just the overall approach. But it's going to be a long road. But just to plug in, or make a plug for that, there's room for additional workers. There's room for additional elders. We could use some Inuit representation and Métis. I have a full-time job, but there's certainly room, and hopefully there's university graduates willing to work in this First Peoples Justice Center or related areas. So, yeah, thanks for that.
And we cannot forget that right now we're working from one room in the Friendship Center. They're graciously hosting us there. And we're looking for, we need to expand. We need a house. We need our own office space. So ministers, that's the next thing on my list. Be prepared. That's what we're going for. You can't expect us to, I mean, we're doing a fabulous job. Anybody's welcome to come to our office and see the team working at its finest. We have an amazing young group of legal minds working as one for our Indigenous people. And it's not going to stop. But what is hindering us a bit more now is that, yes, it's beautiful. We're receiving all this extra funding. Now we need a place to expand into. So that has to be taken into account as well. And I'm sure you knew I was going to come after that too.
Thank you, Alan. Fraser, do you have a follow-up?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Great. So that's unfortunately all the time we have for today's press conference. Cela fait fin à la conférence de presse. Merci beaucoup à tous nos invités et les personnes que nous avons rejoints. Bonne journée. Have a great day.
Yeah, I'll go.
Thanks, everyone. Keep up your great work. Neil on.
Give me the real stuff. Yeah, well.